Right. Hi, Dan. Thanks for agreeing to have a chat with us today.
No problems, Andy.
So we've been working together for, I think, about 7 or 8 years at A2O, and I just wanted to have a quick chat about some of the things that we've done together, some of the results, and some tips that perhaps you could pass on to people who are looking to go down the same route that you've been.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Okay, so perhaps to start with, can you just give us a bit of background to the company, what size you are, where you are, what you do, that sort of thing?
Yep. So the company's called A2O Limited. We're based in the construction industry. We actually have two businesses within the group. The main business specializes in facades. We're a specialist in facades. That's all we do. We don't do any general construction. We mainly work for main contractors building facades. We also have a smaller business which specializes in site hoardings for construction sites. We've been in business now for exactly 20 years. In fact, this 2023 is our 20th anniversary. Started the business 1st of Jan 2003. We're based in Brentwood in Essex, just northeast of London, just about 30 miles outside the centre of London. The business is the size of the business. We're currently around 40 employees. This year, hopefully looking to turn over somewhere between 25 and 30 million pounds.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, that's quite a good background. Probably worth saying also that you've been going 20 years. You're only 25 when you started. That's pretty young for a business.
Yeah,
and to be successful as well. Most businesses don't last 5 years, let alone 20.
Yeah, I feel like I look 55, but no, it's those early years definitely took their toll. It was really tough. There's nothing else I wanted to do, but from every day that I was an employee, all I was thinking about was starting my own business. So, you know, some people say it's too early, some people not, but it was just within me as an entrepreneur, and it's kind of what I had to do. Maybe if I started later, I may have made less mistakes. Who knows? But that's the way it went.
Yeah, no, it certainly seems like you make the right decision. Okay, so moving on to what we've done together all the time that I've been working with you. Can you just outline some of the challenges that you had before we started working together?
Yeah, I think probably my main issues was, the commercial management of the business. I knew what I was doing as a product and what we were delivering and operationally, and I could deliver a great product for my clients, but I couldn't necessarily get paid on time and couldn't necessarily make any profit or actually manage the commercial side of the business particularly well, particularly as when you first start a business, you're so focused on that's your number one focus. Is delivery. The client doesn't care if you're making any profit or if you've got no money in your bank. No. And all you're trying to do is please the client, and so that just takes complete priority. And at the time, I think my accountant was getting quite frustrated with my lack of commercial management of the business, and that's when we met. He put me in touch with yourself, and so it was really just trying to stay on top of our cash flow, managing our accounts, in particular our work in progress, and actually looking beyond the day to day. So every day, all I was doing was thinking about the problems of the day. I couldn't extract myself out of the day to day to look ahead. Yeah. Also, when you're the owner of the business, it's quite a lonely place. There's nobody above you. There's nobody to lean on. No. And I really felt the pain of that, and that's something that you've actually really helped me with as well.
Yeah, the work in progress was quite a big number, wasn't it? It's just because it's part of your industry, isn't it? But it's something
Yeah.
that's quite difficult to keep. Well, it's not difficult to keep on top of, but it needs to be kept on top of.
It needs to be kept on, and you need to understand it.
Hmm.
And I think that was the problem, is that it's maybe okay to do it first year. You know that if your financial year end is 31st of December, and your client owes you £1 million, but he's only paid you 600,000 so far, that work. But it's then when you come to the next year and it's carrying that forward, and I just for me, I just used to get so confused because I wasn't on top of it, wasn't managing it. The number went wildly wide of the mark. But then that's where you came in and just put basic principles in that we could follow to try and resolve those issues.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just going to come on to some of the solutions that we come up with for some of those issues you had. I mean, obviously, I think we did quarterly or maybe even monthly reconciliations of the WIP, didn't we? From that point, which just gave us some visibility to where it was. Got some control. What other solutions can you?
I think the key thing was doing regular management accounts. So this is just something that I never did. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, is that there wasn't much accountability for myself. I was the owner of the business. Yeah. I was doing everything, but I didn't have any accountability. And you forced me to do regular management accounts in a kind of way I sort of treated you as somebody that I needed to report to, and that discipline really helped. You showed me easier ways to do things so that I could actually produce them more easily and more regularly. So we started to produce them at a minimum quarterly, and then also you brought in quarterly board meetings to go with that. So again, another form of accountability, where I had to get these figures prepared. Whereas before, if I didn't do them, nobody's asking. The clients certainly aren't asking for them. And I think that's just a real key thing in businesses, especially small businesses, is that we always, it's true, you've got to try and prioritize the client, but you also have to prioritize those internal commercial disciplines. Otherwise, the business is. So and again, the detailed reviews of the WIP. I think that came in as part of the management accounts, but it was really, really critical for us to be able to have be able to produce our statutory accounts reliably at the end of each year. It just makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? If you're following it through the year. Okay, absolutely. Brilliant. So what would you say the results of those things are? So what I think, once we got everything more under control, it's definitely we started to improve our cash flow, because we had better idea of where we are, what we're doing, who actually owed us money, and when. Once we were able to get a better control of our cash flow, we then had the confidence to start to grow the business. And since you've been with us, I believe we've grown our turnover at least 3 times since then. But the way we were working before, I just don't think that would have actually been possible. We would have almost definitely gone bankrupt had we tried to grow the business by the way we were running it, managing it commercially. But because we've been able to improve our cash flow, that's been giving us the confidence to be able to do more work, and also increased our profitability, because we just had better control of our costs, knowing what our costs are, knowing what our prices need to be. Our prices at times were just too low, and we didn't know it. You've always been a strong advocate not cutting your prices unless you absolutely have to. And as tempting as it's been, we've generally stuck to our guns with that, and it's come, it's come through. And also, if we were making losses, with your help, we were finding them out quicker.
Yeah, the monthly results, and
able to do something about it.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes we'd find out 4 months down the line, and it's just too late.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been another excellent result.
Yeah, just good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So, what would you say is the biggest win then you've had from the last few years?
I think I would say, I mean, there's lots of wins, so it's hard to single out one. But if I was going to single out one win, it is it's the position of our balance sheet in the business. When you joined us, we really were scraping the barrel. We just felt like we were just living day to day. We had felt like we had very little on our balance sheet. We would have looked like quite a weak company, just looking at our accounts, looking at our balance sheet. And you've helped us to, first of all, grow our profitability. So we've actually got something to put back in the business, but we also put disciplines in the business to retain that profit. And okay, we've had a few years here and there where we haven't made great profits, but every time we have, we've reinvested and we've grown that balance sheet, which makes us a strong company and sustainable company. Because there's lots of our competitors that are really profitable that are going bust, regularly, because they're not got discipline over retaining their profits in the business.
Yeah, you've always been strict about keeping money back there, haven't you? When you've had
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
you've had a rule before my time. I mean,
yeah, true. And one of our objectives. I remember sitting down with my business partner Tim when you first joined us, and one of our objectives at the time was to be able to try to go a minimum of 6 months. If we didn't win a single project, we could survive 6 months. We could pay all our bills, all our overheads.
Yeah.
And it takes the pressure off you buying work.
It does. Yeah.
And just doing projects that are going to lose you money just because you're desperate, because you can't pay the wages.
Yeah.
And I say that, well, we've definitely hit that point that we could easily survive 6 months. And I think our next target should be that we can survive a year. And I don't think we're far off that either.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic achievement that's one thing I didn't think we'd actually achieve.
Yeah.
So that's definitely our biggest win.
Yeah, that's a really secure position, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So just finally, could you give me sort of 3 tips that you'd give to someone who was in the position you were as a 25-year-old just about to set out? What would you say to yourself if you could go back?
That's a really good question. Don't do it. No,
that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, I think so a couple of things is that so I started at 25, which most people say is young to start a business. If I'd had it my way, I would have started at 21, even 18, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, my dad convinced me not to, and I kind of thought I didn't agree with him, but I did it, and I went and worked for a lot. But I'd say before you start a business, make sure you've done at least 3 years in a really good company, and learn everything you can. Just be really, really diligent. Don't spend your time just waiting to go because you want to start your own business.
Yeah.
Go there and learn. Be an excellent employee for them, because you may need them in the future. You want to earn an excellent reputation in your industry, and learn. Just be there and just be really diligent. And that is what I did for 3 or 4 years for my previous employer before I started my own business. and I still use what I learned
Yeah.
back in those days. Today, I also, another tip I say is just be prepared to work as hard as it takes, because it is going to be tough.
Yeah.
If you think that starting a business is what you see people who own their own businesses and have been owning their businesses for 10, 15 years, that isn't happening at the beginning. The sleepless nights, the working all weekend, you've got to be prepared to do that. And if
Yeah.
you're not prepared to do that, unless you've got, you know, a lot of money behind you, I suggest, you know, you really got to be prepared. I mean, for money, so I've come out now, 20 years later, and I'm really, really happy I made those sacrifices. I have the life that I dreamed about when I started the business, but I'd say it took at least 10 to 15 years to get there. I've only started to really, and some people get there quicker, some people take longer, but it can happen if you're prepared to really put the work in at the beginning. And then the third thing I would say, surround yourself with people who are better than you, people who have more experience than you. You know, you may think you know everything that you don't. There are and you know, I didn't. That was my biggest mistake in the first 5 years. I didn't, mainly because I didn't think I could afford it.
Right.
I say you can't afford not to. You know, I'm not trying to blow a trumpet here, but I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't engaged with you. And you said 7, 8 years. I think it was more like 10 years ago. And I really don't know, you know, where the business would be. And I've learned throughout my time just to engage and get advice from people who have been there and done it.
Yeah.
Because they're generally also sometimes even free. They're just willing to help because they know they were in that situation once and now they've made a success of their lives. So yeah, that's my biggest three key tips.
Yeah, that last one comes up quite a lot. A lot of people say that, and it's all sorts of areas, isn't it? I mean, you've got people that give you advice in many different disciplines of the business now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm in a lucky situation that the business can afford it now. You know, but I still. I feel like I could have made more effort in those earlier years to have. I was definitely, like 25 years old, I was definitely a lot more arrogant than I am now. And I really did think I did think it was a mixture. It's a mixture of arrogance and that I thought I knew what I was doing. And two, I felt like I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But as you said, there's a lot of advice that you can get without necessarily having to pay lots of money for it. But you should prioritize that in your budget to make sure you've got, even if it's having just somebody attending a board meetings early on, you know, try to set up a structure of a proper business.
Yeah.
From day one. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much. That's been excellent.
My pleasure, Andy.